Peace to the family. Today I'm going to sit back and give you an outline on how to become an ESL instructor, professor, tutor, however you may call it. Okay, first thing I want to do is I'm going to show you my certificate. I got this certificate February the 27th, 2023. After completing a 120-hour TEFL certification. It's important to know that there is a distinction between those 120 hours being complete in person versus online. Some countries want you to have it in person, and others may consider the online option. You can get away in most Gulf countries, speaking of Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Oman, with it being 120 hours in class instruction. Some of those Gulf states require that you have a state teaching certification, but others don't. They may waive that based on your experience or other intangibles. Okay? So that being said, what is TEFL or TESL? It's teaching English as a second language to non-native speakers, right? The preferred qualifications are a bachelor's degree, a 120-hour in-class certification, and oftentimes, depending on where, again, those Gulf nations, to teach at the universities in the United Arab Emirates, in some places in Saudi Arabia, they want you to have a state teaching certificate, okay? But the focus of my video is not about the certification. It's not about the requirements. It's about what the intrinsic values that you have to have. All right. Because when you're learning a language, you got to share a part of yourself with people, right? And you can only do that if you have a burning desire to make the world a better place and make people's lives better. That's why I got into the business, okay? In teaching English as a second language, you're going to have to be sensitive to different cultural values and cultural norms. If you're a rigid person, a bigoted person, or something like that, well, this is not the place for you, right? Because you're not going to give a part of yourself to people that you just don't like, right? You have to be culturally sensitive to other people's cultures, different ways of life. You might find yourself in Japan. You may find yourself in Korea. You may find yourself in China. Like me, I found myself in Africa as well as the Gulf nations. But cultural sensitivity is one of the biggest assets that you can have. All right. So when we talk about ESL, the governing bodies of ESL would be the Council of European Framework for Reference Languages, or the British Council, britishcouncil.org. You can find that other information at Council of European Framework for Reference Languages at their website. Okay, they have a a system of rating persons that are coming into those particular courses, right? A beginner is considered to be A1 up to A2. Intermediate speaker would be a B1 to B2. An advanced would be C1 to C2. And C1 to C2, that's near native proficiency in the target language, right? So these groups are generally the groups that advocate for ESL students and ESL policies in the world, right? Along with the ESL class, you have TOEFL, which is a test that students have to pass to enter into English-speaking countries. It's a fairly difficult test, but when a person reaches B1, B2, and learn test-taking skills, it generally becomes much easier. So, okay, in English as a second language, you have 4 skills, 2 inputs, 2 outputs. Reading and listening are the inputs. Writing and speaking are the outputs. So how do you approach teaching ESL? You have to understand how different people learn. Some people are kinesthetic learners. Some people are auditory learners. Some people are visual learners. Did I get all of them? Kinesthetic, that's what you're touched if you're writing. Auditory, that's what you hear. Visual, what you see. And then what you say by actively participating, right? That being said, how do you teach? Some companies have prepaid, prepared lesson plans that you don't have to make. But depending on the size of the organization and where you're at, it just depends, right? So a resource that you could go to is www.saylor.org. That's SAYLOR.org, right? And there are also other English tests that you can get online for free to test your students. I'm going to give you a story. I was teaching once in the Ivory Coast. I had a Nigerian boss. She was interested in the money, plain and simple. She had a government contract. She didn't invest any money into to resources to teach her students. I basically had Al Jazeera, which, you know, came on the satellite. I had a British BBC radio that came on the radio about 1 o'clock. Basically, I had a shoestring budget of resources. I think we used, she definitely had Rosetta Stone. Maybe a Longman's computer software for ESL. But for me, which is part of my ethos, how I get down, my heart burns and my desire burns for my students to be achievers, high achievers, and for them to go on and become productive members of society and come back and help develop their countries. So I had that burning desire to impart everything that I know to my students. I believe in making my students comfortable. I believe in setting them up for failure. Setting them up for success and not setting them up for failure. The common thing nowadays is everyone wants to become militaristic. There are some good things about the military mindset, but we often gravitate to the negative aspects of military type training in language acquisition. Okay, like for me, during stressful situations, it's about being courageous, being determined, being selfless, and also being cheerful during those times. So I try to impart those lessons to my students. So when they're in stressful situations, such as taking the TOEFL, such as taking entrance exams to different universities, that they're able to relax. Okay, so I showed them this. Okay, something as simple as a crossword puzzle. This is a simple crossword puzzle about spring, right? Has words like April, blossom, breeze, bud, bulbs, March, June, hatch, green, eggs, Easter, seasons, sunshines, everything that's culturally appropriate. This allows them to use their hand. They get their hand involved in it. They get their eye involved in it. And when they see the word, they sound the word out. They spell the word. So, you know, I've engaged different parts of their brain in their learning, just off of a crossword puzzle. You see, even though it's not something that costs a lot of money, you even have software on computers where you can type in word lists and you can make crossword puzzles easily, right? It just takes we'll talk about that in subsequent videos. How do you make lesson plans? That's a simple lesson plan right there. Like I say, turn on Al Jazeera, turn on CNN, turn on Voice of America, turn on the English broadcast of Japanese NPN news network. One of my go-tos was NPR, National Public Radio, Voice of America, and you're getting basic Midwest accents with a speech rate that's comparable to 10th grade education in the United States. All right. Something else that I want to show you. This is something personal about me. I was an African studies major, and everybody would say, what are you going to do with that? How are you going to provide for yourself with that? I knew that I was going to see the world with this particular major. It's not in high esteem in the United States, but they loved it. They loved it in the United Kingdom. All right. Basically, a lot of my students were second language learners. Well, they were polyglots. A lot of them spoke their ethnic dialect. A lot of them spoke French. They were educated in Cote d'Ivoire in English in primary school, but they never got the chance to use it. So somebody like me, I'd go get a French book. I'd show them that I was in the same boat as them, learning languages, right? This is just a small French book. What is it? Je me débrouille en anglais. French book in French, has pictures, has vocabulary. So I'm flipping it. I'm using the vocabulary of their language to get those same vocabulary words in English. All right. Along with that, I would use cognates. Those are words that are the same in English, generally the same in English, French, and Spanish, all Romance language. These are cognates, right? From the Latin root co, meaning together. Dual, okay? This is a German dictionary, right? Ich studierte Deutsch in Universität. I studied German in university as well, right? Another French book, Vis-a-vis. So I would use these. This is the French book. Okay, now here go the German book, Treffpunkt Deutsch. German book. No, you don't have to have a background in different languages. Here's a French dictionary, phrase book. All right, it's an Arabic for dummies, right? Ana takalam Arabia swai ana adros fi luta Arabia fi jamarat. This is one of my prized possessions. Al kitab fi talam fi luta Arabia, right? And here's Swahili, a Swahili book, Kitabu fi Kiswahili. Let's see, is that the name of it? Yeah, that's the name of it. But anyways, I was introduced to these subjects as an undergraduate student because I knew I was going to travel the world, and I knew that one day that I would find myself in the position of being able to share how to learn different languages. All of these different languages have, how would I say, they have different forms of where the subject, where the verb, indirect objects and direct objects are placed. So that's another thing becoming a ESL instructor, is you have to tighten up on your grammar. Not everybody's going to be a grammarian or anything like that. But yes, you do have to know basic sentence structure, simple sentence, compound, complex sentences, plural, perfect, such and such. But all of those things, you can, if you put your mind to it, you'll be able to handle that. Generally, as native speakers, we're not as adept as those grammatical points, but it's something that you will want to work on. It's something that you that will come back to you. Again, and that leads us to another lesson, diagramming sentences. Diagramming sentences is a simple exercise that we did as children. And you can also write out simple sentences and have them to say where the subject is, where the verb is, where the direct object is. Then you can have them to do those things in their languages and say, where is the direct object here? Where does the action go? You know, is this a predicate nominative, a predicate adjective? All of these things seem like a lot, but it becomes fun when you're teaching and you're sharing. You're learning how grammar is set up in their languages and how it's set up in English. And you're able to impart that to students as well. I will say that sometimes you have to come out of the target language for the students in order to give them some victories. When they get those victories, when they're able to compare English to their native language, it makes it a lot easier for you. Okay, again, for me, English is about sharing and preparing people to enter into the world market. English is a world language. I think people in the United States are spoiled because they expect other people to speak English. Yet and still, it's difficult to find citizens of the United States that are fluent in other languages. I'm not saying that there are none, but generally it's the one language rule in the United States. They only expect to learn English, and they expect you to learn English. But with the advent of artificial intelligence and the World Wide Web, the next 10, 15 years, that's going to be obsolete, and most people will at least be bilingual. Okay, with that, I hope this video finds you in the best of life, health, and strength. I hope it motivates you. I hope it gives you some insight into how that you can become an ESL instructor, ESL tutor, or ESL professor. Last thing, it's a good way to travel the world if you're a native speaker, especially if you're Australian, British, or American, even South African, because these are the preferred accents that they want around the world. Okay, so if you thinking about becoming an ESL teacher or instructor, put everything you got into it. I wish you the best. Have a wonderful and blessed evening.